Three reasons most of you are never going to be rich. One, you do not identify opportunity. The opportunity we're discussing now, which happened on the 12th of March, where I bought 600 grand of Bitcoin, which is now worth in excess of 7 million. I've done zero work. Zero. I've turned 600K into 7 million just because I identified an opportunity. It took me 10 minutes. You're sitting out there thinking, if I just had $1 million, if I could just become a millionaire. That's how easy it is. Now, you probably didn't have 600K to buy Bitcoin like I did. Fine. You could have put 600 in and had 70 grand. 70,000 you could have had from 600. But you do not identify opportunities. This is the first thing you do not do. You do not pay attention to the world around you. You just live in your little bubble. You're too busy arguing with your ugly girlfriend, too busy stressed out about some dumb shit, too busy sleeping in. You don't pay attention. You're not perspicacious. This is why you miss opportunities. It's the first reason you're never going to be rich. Second reason you're never going to be rich. Don't buy a house. Rent a house. They're like, oh, but isn't that wasting money? No, what's wasting money is buying a house, giving huge interest rates to a bank, and then tying yourself to one geographical location. The reason humans are the #1 species on the planet is because of our adaptability, the ability to adapt. I can go anywhere on Earth. I can go wherever the money is, where the money resides. If the money is residing in Japan, I can go to Japan. If I need to go to Singapore, I can go to Singapore. I can go live in Las Vegas. Wherever I'm gonna get paid, I can go, and I'll just rent. Boom, boom, boom. I ain't got nothing tying me down. It ain't gonna take years for me to buy or sell something. I ain't gotta worry about all the upkeep and property maintenance. Buying a house is foolish. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I do own this house because I wanted it to be exactly the way I want it, but I'm rich, right? You aren't. So you shouldn't be doing that shit anyway. You do not need to buy a house. It's one of the biggest mistakes you can make. It's a psychological thing that your parents have told you. If you own a home, if you own a home, if you own a home. And then I tell people this and they go, oh yeah, but you can always rent it out. You're gonna spend $300,000 on a house so that you can rent out for $800 a month. And then every time the boiler breaks, you're gonna spend $500 fixing the boiler, and they're gonna damage your house. And by the time they leave, you're gonna need a whole bunch of repairs, and they're gonna be calling you all the time for hassle and stress if they even pay their rent on time. You think that's a good spend of 300 grand? Do you know what else you could do with 300 grand? Buy Bitcoin. Revolutionary. Your real estate can be on the blockchain instead of out here. Because when it's on the blockchain, it can be sold instantly. You ever tried to sell a house? It takes years. Ever tried to sell Bitcoin? It takes seconds. So this is the second reason you're never gonna be rich. Because all your ideas and concepts of how wealth is created are outdated. 3, the third and most important reason you're never gonna be rich is because you do not have a plan. You do not have a plan to get rich. Nothing good has ever happened on accident. Have you ever met a guy who's just got covered in muscles, got six-pack? You're like, hey bro, how'd you do that? You've been going to the gym. No man, it was just an accident. Oops. No, he built that body purposefully. He did things specifically to get the result he desired. He ate a specific way. He trained a specific amount. He knew exactly what he was doing. Every rich person knows exactly what they're doing. People who are making money know exactly how to do it. You're sitting there saying, I want to be rich. You don't even have a plan to get rich. How the fuck are you going to get rich on accident? How's that going to happen? Oops, I'm a millionaire. Never.
One of the only things in this world you can control is your state of mind. You can't control the weather. You can't control other people. You can't even control your health. You might get a brain hemorrhage, or you might get hit by a bus. Or you might get assassinated. One of the very few things in the world you have genuine control over is your state of mind. You decide if you're a disciplined person. You decide if you're a happy person. You decide if you're a depressed person. These are things that in real time you can affect in your brain. This is all you can control on Earth. If you can't control that, then you're just a feather in the wind. And life's gonna blow you around, and you might land somewhere good, you might land in dog shit, nobody knows.
Everybody understands that you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Everybody understands that.
Dan Pena.
Everybody understands that. But they understand that and still hang around with losers.
True.
It's like, is that not the ultimate mark of being a dumbass? If you understand that that's the truth and you don't create your friendship and create your reality,
Yes.
then you're a loser. I had a guy join the War Room the other day, my private network, and he joined, and we have multimillionaires in there. We have a billionaire in there. I bought a Bugatti purely to add Bugatti owners to my network. So we have Bugatti owners in there. We have guys connected to the point where I can't even say on YouTube, right? A guy joined, he's 19, he ain't nothing. He goes, look, I know I don't have any value to give, but I'm just here to learn, and I understand that if I stand a chance of escaping the Matrix, you're the man I need to be around. And I was like, you're absolutely intelligent. Instead of spending 19 sitting around playing video games, that's the smartest thing you could have ever done.
Sure.
His life's going to change forever, right? Because he's around people who understand. So all the people out here who sit there and go, yeah, you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around with the most. Yeah. And then go hang around with dickheads. You're an idiot.
But most people are like that.
Yeah. Because they're idiots, right? You have to create your reality, and there's nothing wrong with saying to people, you know what, I've outgrown you. You know what, I'm on a different path to you. You know what, X, Y, Z. Sometimes you got to cut people off, because if you don't create your reality, they infect your energy. I have a saying, and it's not a very remarkable saying, but I use it all the time, and that's dumb shit leads to dumb shit. And I say that for an example, like let's say you leave your car unlocked. You're unprofessional, you leave your car unlocked. Now it gets stolen. Now there's a police case. Now, dumb shit leads to dumb shit. So when I'm around people who do dumb shit or unprofessional things, or they're not smooth, or they don't get their shit right, or they're negative, I refuse, because it comes true.
Yeah.
It's like you make it true. If I hang around with your stupid ass long enough, all the stupid shit you're talking about is going to happen to me.
Yeah.
So it's like you speak it into existence.
Yes.
So I refuse to be around it. Dumb shit leads to dumb shit. Everyone I talk to is such a fucking winner that when I sit around, all I could do is accidentally win.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, shit, bam, more money. You have to be very, very selective, and you have to very, very carefully curate your reality. And that's why I created the War Room, because it's a global network, but you have to be global and you have to be online nowadays, because if you're a normal dude living a normal life, you're never going to meet winners in day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Because they're all slaves.
Yeah.
So you have to find that guy in Singapore who's a winner, those two guys in Dubai who's a winner, one in London. Like, it's hard now.
Yeah.
It's getting harder and harder.
I'm going to tell you how to get rich. If you're a scientist, you never ever wake up, go into the lab, pour the right chemicals, and fix the problem. That doesn't happen. You go into the lab, you try some shit, it fucks up. You try some new shit, it fucks up. And you keep fucking around until something kind of works. So mistakes, eventually something goes well. So I say this to people, look, how many ways have you tried to earn money? You earn money X way. How many other ways have you tried? Because you need to try a whole ton of ways, and you got to make a bunch of mistakes like a scientist does to find the thing that works. And everyone's heard this before, right? And then they'll say they have two hurdles to doing that. One, they're lazy. And two, they'll say, well, I have ideas, but I don't know how to start. Or I have ideas, but I need money to start. So then what you have to do, and this is one of the things I teach on Cobratate.com in my Hustlers University, is you have to look at your business ideas and your plans and find a way to remove the need for money to attempt them. So my philosophy on business is this: any business in the world that could genuinely work without investment. People get this idea in their head, I need loads of money. So, and every single business I've tried, I will find a way to launch it for effectively free. And if it starts to make money, then maybe I'll put money in. Or then maybe I have some balance sheet, I can go to an investor and get money. But everyone has this idea they need money first.
If you were in a room with ice cream experts and all they talked about was ice cream, how to make it, how to store it, how to move it, the different flavors, the size of the cartons it's in, how much it costs to produce, if all they talked about was ice cream and you were in that room, sooner or later, when someone comes to you to ask you something about ice cream, you're going to know the answer.
Yeah.
But you're going to accidentally know some shit about ice cream. If you're in a room of people who only talk about money, so you need to be around people who are about it. And the problem is with the people out here, everyone has a dream, but not many people have a plan. A dream and a plan are different things. When you say to guys, do you want to be rich? Yeah, I want to be rich. How will you get rich? One day when a ship comes in. So you can have a dream with no plan. When's the last time something fantastic has ever happened on accident? When's the last time you've seen a big jacked dude and you say, hey man, how'd you get so jacked? And he goes, dunno, oops. Dunno, it just happened. No, he planned it. He went to the gym, he ate a certain way, he planned his meals, he had to make it happen. It's exactly the same with getting rich. You need a plan to get rich, right? Most people everyone out there has a dream, but very few people have a plan. Yep. If you're surrounded by people who have a plan to get rich, and you provide value to them in some way, because they're not going to drag you up if you ain't doing nothing, because that's what friendship is. Friendship is value exchange. Yeah. If you provide value to them, sooner or later, you're going to begin to make money. Let me tell you something. When I was broke, and like I said, I have a bunch of money now. I was broke. This is not like I was broke, but from like a middle-class family. I was broke, single mother, public government housing, no car. I had to run to the gym, broke. When I was flat broke, the only of my friends I'd sit around and talk to were my friends who would talk about money. The guys who would sit and talk about video games or sit around and talk about football, I wouldn't hang around with them. I only used to sit and talk to my friends, talk about money. None of us had any money, right? But if we walked into a coffee shop and we bought coffee, we would then sit there over our coffee and analyze, how did this coffee shop make us give them our money? Because that's what's happened. We've given our money to this coffee shop. Why? Did we really want coffee? Where is it located? Is it a convenient location? Is it because of the brand of the coffee? Is it because the waitress is cute? Why are we in this particular coffee shop? Why didn't we go to that one? Why are we in this one? If we were to open up a coffee shop next door, how could we outcompete this one? What's the rent for this place? What's the margin on a cup of coffee? Everyone in here's a man. If you notice, everyone in here's a man in a business suit. Why is the person serving not a hot girl? Why is it a guy? Do they sell sandwiches? Do they sell cake? Like, start to actually think. Think about the money. And then if you do that every single time you spend money on anything, you're going to end up realizing there's tons of gaps. There's gaps in the market everywhere. You'll start to sit there and go, you know what? I could open up a coffee shop right next door to this fucking coffee shop. change this, this, and this, and murder this place. But people don't think about it. People just give their money away all day, and it never even crosses their mind about how they were convinced to give their money away.
Most famous tweet was when I said depression wasn't real. And I had A-list celebrities. I had the girl from Game of Thrones. I had fucking literally A-list guys. And everyone's telling me how dangerous my mindset is. What is dangerous about believing that you control your own mind? Because if you implement the 4 things I've just told you, depression becomes garbage. Depression is not a thing anymore. Feeling depressed is real. You can be depressed with your situation. I just told you, number 2, get depressed. That's fine. But believing you can fix it yourself is the important key. Sitting there believing that depression is some monster from the sky that strikes your brain and now you have no control over it and you must take pills every day is the absolute enemy to a G mindset. I don't give a fuck how depressing my situation. The only person who can change it is me. The only person who can change how I feel about my situation or try and affect the situation directly is me. Even if you put me in a situation I can't change, if you put me in jail and I'm depressed because I'm in jail, I still refuse to succumb to depression. I refuse to collapse mentally and give up. I know the only person who can control my mind is me. Nobody's coming to save me. No doctor with a pill is coming to save me. Depression isn't real. Depression is a state of mind designed to motivate you to find a life that doesn't depress you any further. That's all it is. Now you have to decide, are you man enough to go and get it done, or are you going to sit around and cry? And depression, the reason I talk about depression a lot is because depression in the Western world is the cure-all. It's the cure-all excuse. This is what people are using. My life's shit because I'm depressed. No, you're depressed because your life is shit. It's the other way around, and you're refusing to acknowledge that, and you want to sit there and live a shit life and pretend that some disease has struck you. And the reason you know that's bullshit, anyone out there who's depressed, I'll tell you something, you're not depressed, you're a coward. And the reason you're a coward is as follows. You desperately try to defend this crippling ailment you have. When I tell you depression isn't real, you message me pages and pages, desperate to convince me I'm wrong, that depression is a real thing, and that your life is terrible, and this ailment has destroyed your life because you're desperate to defend your excuse. If depression was really terrible, you wouldn't want to defend it. If depression was really so bad, and I'm telling you it's not real, and I know how to fix you, and if you implement a mindset like mine, you become immune to depression. If depression was so terrible, you'd listen to me and think, I need to try what this guy does. I need to do. If he's immune to depression and it's impossible to depress him, I need to be like this man. But instead, no, you don't want to do that. You want to call me names and sit and defend this ailment because you know it's garbage. It's your excuse. It's your blanket. It's your shield. It's your excuse you get to pull out every time you look at your failure of a life. And that's why depression is absolutely and utterly not real. And anyone who's bought this course who thinks they're depressed, I'll tell you something now. Drop that coward bullshit. If you're watching this and you're depressed, drop and give me 200 press-ups. Do 200 press-ups. Look in the mirror, look in your eyes, and tell yourself you're the fucking man, and drop that garbage, because you can get absolutely nowhere in your life if you believe in that crap. Depression absolutely isn't real. And you're going to say this to people, and they're going to fucking go nuts at you. They're going to call you arrogant, and they're going to call you all the things they called me. But your life is going to be a life worth living.
You know, say you were running a depression camp, how would you get people out of their depressed?
I get them out of the depression by making them understand the harsh realities of the world. And the harsh realities of the world is that life doesn't give a fuck about you. Life doesn't give a shit about you. If a lion goes to hunt some gazelle, let's say you're a lion and you're chilling, and you see a whole bunch of antelope in the corner. When the lions start chasing the antelope, they get the slowest, weakest antelope. They get the babies, they get the one who's sick, they get the one who's got a broken leg. They don't give a fuck. They're not going to be like, oh, well, that one's sick, so we can't eat that one. Or that one didn't have breakfast, so it's unfair to chase that one down. The lion doesn't care. The lion gets the slowest antelope. And life's exactly the same. So you have to decide which antelope you want to be. Because just like the lion, life doesn't give a shit who's at the back. And you have to decide if you want to be at the back and hope the lion's going to feel sorry for you when it's hungry, and you can tell him all your excuses just before he rips your throat out, or you can make sure you're the one at the front by any means necessary. And that's a choice you have to make. And when people truly understand that and they stop externalizing their problems, then they believe there's two choices. You either externalize your issues or you believe you have influence over your issues. When bad things have happened to me, when my father died or whatever, I never allowed myself to wake up and think, maybe I have depression. Because it wasn't even in my realm of possibility. It wasn't even ever in my sphere. It was like, I'm upset about this, and times of healing, whatever. I've got work to do. Let's get up, let's get done. And so I don't see why that's detrimental to anybody. The reason that people got so triggered and upset by what I said is because I attacked their belief system. It's like attacking someone's God. It's their worldview. It shapes everything they do. Like if you believe in God or you believe in ghosts or you believe in depression, everything you do is influenced by this belief. And when you attack someone's belief, they're going to get very desperate to defend it. There's also a large body of evidence saying that depression doesn't exist. Feel free to, I don't want to quote it exactly, but I think his name's Lauren Mosher. He was the head of schizophrenic research at the Institute of Mental Health. So he's like the guy. And he concluded that depression is not a real disease because in 100% of cases, there's nothing actually wrong with the brain. He says, I can't detect anything wrong with the brain. All the brain scans they show you in depressed people, you can just take a brain scan of someone having an orgasm. Those are chemicals in the brain. You can see it. That does not mean that the person's got a mental disorder. You can see the depression in their brain because they've accepted they're depressed. The brain didn't change and then make them the depressed. People got the wrong way around. So yeah, of course, everyone feels depressed temporarily. I've been depressed. Bad things happen to everybody. You have a choice of let it consume you.
How did you snap out of your unhappiness, depression?
Well, I snapped out of it because I understand that it's the only choice there is.
Was there a method you did?
I don't think there's a specific method. You just have to be harsh about the realities of the world. Life doesn't give a fuck about you. Everyone who you're crying to your problems about doesn't really care. And you have to get it over with. Like bad things happen to everybody. They're going to happen to everybody. And then we all die. So you have two choices. You can let the bad things consume you, or you can wake up one day and think, enough of this, and you got to push forward. And the crazy thing is when I say that to people say to me, oh, you're crazy. That is exactly how the entire world functioned until this new think bullshit came along. Until this new age crap came along, no one ever sat down and gave up. You look at World War II, people dying all over the place. Who gave up? Everyone just pushed, keep calm, carry on. There's bombs today, go to work. That's because that's how people were raised. But now this new think garbage has come and everyone tells me that I'm wrong. Well, we have you asking for the medical proof. The medical proof is the entirety of human history, where nobody ever was too depressed to work because they had to fucking eat. And people go on with things. When I was saying depression, I'm talking about the 19-year-old in their bedroom with nothing wrong with their life who's saying they're depressed. That's completely different to post-traumatic stress disorder, in my mind. Obviously, bad things can happen to people and they can affect you. Still, I believe you're a master of your own mind, but I think that's a much harder battle depending on what you went through. But it's really interesting you said that. I watched a TV show about a German girl who survived a plane crash in the 1970s in Peru. The plane blew up in the air or something, it crashed. When she was the only survivor, she woke up, she saw her decapitated mother next to her still strapped in the seat. Everyone's dead. She starts walking through the jungle trying to eat, ends up, because of her wounds, gets infection, ends up sure she's gonna die, passes out in a clearing, gets saved, blah, blah, blah. And they were talking to her what happened once she'd been saved, and she obviously eventually made it back to Germany. Her family originally thought she was dead. She said, well, what happened when you got back? And he said, well, my dad tried to sell a book, but no one bought it. So he told me I had to get a job because we needed work. We needed money. So about 2 weeks later, I was working, like doing what? Oh, in a shop. And like, oh, did you go to a psychiatrist? She goes, no, we didn't do that. Like, you know what I mean? So this is one of the most dramatic things you can possibly go through. And she just went to a store, got a job, and got over it. Obviously, she had her own personal battle, but she pushed forward, and now she's doing an interview at age 80 saying, yeah, well, you just have to get on with life. So and people are going to tell me I'm wrong. I'm like, this is the evidence that it is possible.
How you view the world absolutely and utterly shapes how you react to the world, how you act in the world, how people view you. It's all down to how you view things. There's very few things in this life we actually have any control over. I learned all of the lessons I'm going to be teaching you the hard way. I didn't learn them in a course, so you guys are very, very lucky. I learned all this shit the absolute hard way. I came from absolutely nothing, becoming a world-level athlete, and now becoming a self-made multimillionaire. So all of these lessons I've learned absolutely the hard way. I have been in a single mother, my mom crying because she can't pay the bills, broke as a joke. I've been a multimillionaire. I've been a nobody. I've been famous. I've been a world-level athlete. I've started from nothing with a point where I had to run to the gym because I didn't even have a car to get there. I've done it all. So I've lived a very extreme life, and this is where these lessons come from. So when I talk about G mindset is absolutely and utterly the most important thing. I told everyone I'm going to be world champion. Years before I even had a British title, before I even had an English title, I just started fighting. I was like, oh, I'm the next world champion, yeah. And I just started saying it, but I said it with genuine conviction. I knew I would be the best. I genuinely knew I would be the best. You have to understand that this world, everyone constantly tells you, do not be arrogant, do not have an ego. But people will constantly tell you to not talk in a way which is full of conviction. People do not like you to be arrogant and have an ego. This is the worst thing ever.